is Sunday. It's beautiful. It's hot as shit. It is the second day of a 4-day weekend beautifully. And I thought I would talk to you about some books recently finished and the books I plan on reading the rest of this weekend. So I finished 2 books yesterday, one extremely successful and the other really disappointing. I guess maybe we'll start with disappointing, and that is sadly Simple Passion by Ernaux. I've been interested in Ernaux for a long time. I've heard a lot of people whose recommendations I generally love, like Renee Morris here on YouTube, talk about this book specifically. And obviously Ernaux is really important in the history of literature and won the Nobel Prize last year. So I wanted to dip my toes into her work, but this was just, kind of unbelievably unsuccessful for me. I was kind of speechless when I finished last night, and I did that thing where you go to Goodreads and you go to the 1-star reviews and you try to have your kind of worldview validated by other people. And I agreed with a lot of the 1-star reviews. I found this really self-absorbed in not an enjoyable way. I like a quiet, meditative, internal novel, but this just felt too self-absorbed in a way that kind of skirted any attempt to think about your kind of position in the world, your ethical position, any of it. It's about Ernaux's brief affair with a married man and her kind of obsession with him, and her inability to kind of think about anything else other than when he's going to call her next. He's in many ways a kind of ordinary man, which she recognizes. There's also a lot of odd stuff about her kind of own exoticizing of him. He's not French as she is. And yeah, just their kind of sexual relationship and her just kind of inability to do anything other than think about him. I don't know what to say other than I found it really kind of sensationalist in a lot of ways. I found it to be too honest in a way without any really, critical awareness of oneself. She says pretty clearly that she doesn't want to psychoanalyze this moment in her life, doesn't want to psychoanalyze the obsession, which I think is really just a way of skirting having to think about the implications of it, or the actual implications of what obsession means and does. Like all of the quotes on this, basically say that she's like found out the inner workings of obsession, and I just did not leave with any interesting kind of conclusions about obsessive tendencies. And I think thinking about obsession in a narrative way is much more interesting when it's kind of over a longer period of time. There's development. You see someone kind of, transcend or descend actually into obsessive tendencies. But this was just kind of, boring, self-absorbed, just kind of wants to sit in her pain, which is fine, but I don't need to read 60 pages of that. I could say a lot more, but it didn't connect with me. It didn't do it. I might try more of Ernaux, because I know some people that did not like this one, like some of her fiction. This one is autofiction. So I may try her again, but that one was not for me. The one that was really, really, really for me, that I also finished yesterday, was White Noise by DeLillo. First DeLillo, and I hope to read all of his other work soon. This is about a college professor somewhere in the Midwest who is the chair of a department, and it's about, really, I guess fundamentally, it's about his kind of obsession with the thought of death, and the ways that both him and his wife, actually, you come to understand, are trying to get around their fear of death in a really hyper-modern world where there's kind of, all sorts of noxious gases and all sorts of disasters happening. How do we kind of handle this fear? It's so satirical, it's so funny, even though it's dealing with kind of dark topics. It's an absolutely hilarious depiction of the academy. And as someone that is an academic, I found the depiction so funny and so spot on. The TV, the television and the radio really are a character in this book. It's a really kind of hyper modern depiction of the ways that these technologies really insert themselves into our lives as kind of another being, and the ways that some people, see this as kind of a new cultural religion. So it really interesting, really philosophical in a lot of ways. It also had the most just wonderful depiction of children that I think I've ever read in a novel. He has kind of a collection, the main character has a collection of children from various failed marriages, and they are so bright, so interesting, really have just these full, unique identities that DeLillo is so empathetic in writing. I love viewing the adults around them through their eyes. It's so illuminating, and the children in this narrative are really wonderful. So this was highly successful for me, 5 out of 5, and I can't wait to read his other works. Also, the ending was insane. I loved every moment of it. So now I need to choose what I'm reading next. I have 2 kind of options. I would like to get to both of them very soon, potentially in this long weekend, but we'll just see how much time I have to sit and read. One is The Perfect Golden Circle by Benjamin Myers. I don't know how I found out about this one, but I picked it up recently. I was interested in the cover. I love Melville House, who published this one. I'll just read you the description. Over the course of a burning hot summer, 2 very different men, an ex-soldier traumatized by his war experience and his off-the-grid friend, set out nightly in a decrepit camper van to undertake an extraordinary project, traversing the fields of rural England and creating crop circles in elaborate and mysterious patterns. So not much given away, but the Boston Globe quote here is terrific, immersive, and wondrous, which is exactly what I want from a book, and it just sounds like it's going to be fun and kind of immersive. And then I have something very, very different, but something I think will also be terrific, immersive, and wondrous in its own way, which is The Doloriad by Missouri Williams. I've heard a lot about this. From what I understand, it's a story about incest in a kind of modern retelling of an ancient Greek tragedy. Very gothic, very moody from what I've heard. Not really the thing to be reading on a day like this, but I'm just really excited to get to it. I think I might start with this one today. I think I'm going to do what I do best, take myself to a little cafe, start reading this one. After that, maybe I'll go to my local thrift store and peer around the book section for a little bit. But hopefully I'll get to the Doloriad in the next couple of days as well, and I'll let you know what I think as I move through them. Hello all. It is Monday morning, 3rd day of the 4-day weekend. It's another beautiful day. I am actually going today to a new local pool by me. Swimsuit is on, Crocs are on, and I have a bag of books. I didn't film anymore yesterday. I did go to the thrift shop like I said I was going to do, but did not find any book goods. I just found these 2 little ceramic circus fellows, which I think I inserted a little video of, but I thought I would let you know how my reading went yesterday and what I'm planning on doing today. I started The Perfect Golden Circle by Myers. I don't know how I'm feeling about this so far, a little bit so-so. It's about these two men in the British countryside who, in the kind of late 80s, go out in the summer and create crop circles together as kind of like an artistic project and kind of aesthetic project. Interesting premise. It's given to you kind of right away, and I'm a little afraid because it's just every chapter is a repetition of a different crop circle. I'm a little afraid that I've already become a little bit bored of it only about 50 pages in. I'm hoping that something else happens. I'm learning from my maybe critique of this and also my distaste for simple passion that I maybe like things to unfold for me. I'm a little, I maybe don't prefer to have everything kind of given to me at once, and very much everything that you need to know about this book is kind of given to you in the first few pages. So I'm still early on. We'll see how it goes. I may start the Doloriad today just because I want to be at the pool really connecting with what I'm reading today, but I'm definitely not going to DNF this. It's the other thing that I'll say about this, and maybe why I'm not getting on with it perfectly, is it's kind of a love letter to the British countryside and kind of these vast open fields, which I love, and I love that concept. However, the language is, I don't know, maybe a little bit overwrought. Some of the metaphors are maybe a little bit too strange and kind of out there, and so I'm actually kind of finding it not very easy to read. It's a little unnecessarily difficult to read with how kind of overwrought some of the metaphors are. I'm gonna see if maybe I can find you an example. Maybe there's one here. Just to give you an idea of a metaphor. The road was a ribbon from a spool being pushed about by a playful kitten. Stuff like that, where it's just the metaphors don't necessarily make automatic sense. There's another one here. And now the acreage appears as vast as an ocean, a golden inland ocean that parts for them just as the lonely faraway waters of the South Atlantic might part for the hull of a destroyer as it glides into enemy waters. It's beautiful language, but some of the metaphors are a little bit tenuous, and so you really have to work to understand why Myers has chosen that specific metaphor and what he's trying to get at. And so I'm not finding the reading experience to be as smooth as I would like a kind of meditation on the beauty of these kind of vast English plains to be. But we'll see how I get on. I think I'm going to get to the pool, read 15, 20 more pages, see hopefully if I start to get on with it a little bit more. If not, I might just switch to the Doloriad for today and kind of read them both at once for the next few days. But yes, I will update you when I get to the pool.
Música eu sinto com a nuca. Nunca, nunca, meu amor, não diga nunca. Sempre tente, cada vez é diferente. Sente calma, dê espaço pra muda, tudo e total, tô à toa. Zoa, voa, vai ver a vida te salva.
Why, hello. I'm coming to you from a photo booth in my garden. I haven't spoken to you for a few days. I thought I would give a brief update before I end this vlog that may or may not ever be shared with the interwebs. The last time I spoke to you, it was still the 4-day weekend. Sadly, that is over and I'm back to work. But I spoke to you about potentially swapping out the perfect golden circle for the Doloriad and just taking a bit of a break from the Myers, and that is exactly what I did, and I started and finished the Doloriad. Absolutely amazing, just so intense. It's kind of a difficult book to say comfortably that I just really adored, because it's a really grotesque book in a lot of ways. As I was saying earlier, it's about the kind of incestuous recreation of a population after some sort of apocalypse on Earth, somewhere actually in the Czech Republic. It was, though, amazing, like so enthralling. I was just very quickly consumed by it, and the writing is really all-consuming. It's very dreamlike, it's very absurd, which makes sense because a large part of the book is thinking about the kind of physical and mental illnesses and disabilities that really these children of incestuous relationships are experiencing, and the ways that they become kind of more and more estranged and different from their mother and father as the kind of generations move down, and more kind of sickness is bred. It's extremely violent. There's all sorts of violence. I thought the incest would probably be the most disturbing part of this book. Somehow, amazingly, it is not. There's a whole host of really disturbing things. So if you're very squeamish, I would avoid this one. But the writing is just so sharp, so well suited to the kind of dark and sticky and grimy world that she is creating. Nothing is said in this book that shouldn't be there. There's such a kind of clarity of vision, such a clarity of character. Like, the characters are so well expressed, and you become like really kind of obsessed with getting to know them. They're really interesting, and also develop in really interesting ways as they kind of turn away from their kind of matriarchal figure, and turn away from the kind of ways of her old world. It's also very experimental in a lot of ways, because the children of these relationships deal with kind of brain fog, deal with a kind of inability to separate themselves from other things and separate other things from each other. Williams does a lot of really interesting things where, for example, she'll very seamlessly switch between the point of view of different characters in a way that kind of mirrors that inability to kind of keep various people and various like objects in the world separate. So a lot of really interesting experimental and formal things happening here, but the writing is just really mesmerizing. I don't know how else to say it. It's really so well at creating this image of a just really grotesque world. I really, really enjoyed this. I'm really excited to see what she does next. This was her debut novel, which I just think is crazy, because it is, as I'm saying, like, even though the world that she's creating is so kind of mumbled and confused, the clarity of her vision and the clarity of the writing is just so sharp, and the subject matter is just so stark and uncompromising, really. It's just it was very successful for me. I'm excited to go back and see what she's published in literary journals. I'm excited to see what she publishes next. I think she may be kind of like our new generation's Clarice Lispector. Like, she's very different, but something about the writing is reminding me of Lispector, and
I'm really excited to see what she does. I was really surprised to find out once I started reading this, that this was a debut novel. So that is that. I'm sure I could say much more about that, but I'll leave it there. Then, after I finished that, I tried to return to The Perfect Golden Circle, hoping that if I just read a little bit more, I would somehow get into it. That's sadly not what happened. This book is just not connecting with me, and for the moment, I'm going to put it away. That might mean that I am DNFing it, but I'm going to tell myself that it's maybe just not the right time right now, which is disappointing because it, on the surface, sounds like something I would really enjoy. But as I was saying before, I'm just kind of finding the language not suiting the subject matter. It's really about these kind of intimate moments between friends in like a field in the middle of the night. That's kind of the whole plot, which sounds like it could be really wonderful. But all of the language that's used to talk about these kind of intimate small moments and the little things they see in these fields feels very grandiose to me. And I'm not saying that you can't use sweeping language to talk about nature and so on and so forth, because obviously a lot of authors do that really well. But something is just overwritten. There's a sense of, maybe trying to bring in too much, like the language, he's trying to do too much with the language, and actually when the subject matter is calling for a little bit more simplicity, I think. I'm also just not really connecting with the characters. They're two older guys, kind of, upset by the status quo, kind of post-punk partiers, at least one of them is. But they're just not a very interesting version of that, and a lot of their, for me at least, I'm not connecting with them. And a lot of the dialogue feels really, I'm just like, people like that do not talk like this. I can give you an example. One of them is talking about a party that's going to be at Stonehenge and the potential for the police to come and shut it down. And the other one is just, really in his feels about kind of the system, and the man will do what the man is going to do, and so on and so forth. But it's just exaggerated in a way that I don't feel is like legitimate. This one character says, the Saracens of Stonehenge will be there long after the party is ended, and long after those plastic pygmies are bone dust in the damp dirt. None of this is anything new. They don't like people like us because we live freely. That's all. You know it and I know it. They see us doing exactly what we want with our lives, and it fills them with fear because we've got the jump on them. I mean, philosophically, we're way beyond them. We laugh at their stupid rules and their stupid little lives, their laws and their paperwork, their borders and their boundaries, and they can't handle it. I just don't feel like that's like a sophisticated social critique, and probably not how people who actually do have like legitimate critiques of their societies are talking to each other. It feels like a little bit, it feels a little bit too obvious. I don't know. I'm just not connecting with it. Maybe it's the time. But anyway, that one's a bit disappointing. So I've put that down, and I guess I can share what I'm looking out to next if I ever again. I mean, it would be a miracle if I posted this video, so it would be a real miracle if we got to a second video. Stoner by John Williams is up next. Really excited about this one. I actually already started it. I'm only like 10-15 pages in, but it's already grabbing me, and it's making me very happy that I put The Perfect Golden Circle down, because I was feeling like it was going to put me in a reading slump or something, and it was just slowing me down. So I'm very excited that this is connecting so quickly. My understanding is it's about kind of a university professor in the mid-20th century in the Midwest, and it's kind of just slow and meditative, but the writing is beautiful, and I think I'm going to get on with this one, so I'm very excited. I am also just going to start a Borges collection. I don't think I'm going to read this all at once, because Borges is, he's in his own magical world, and it's not always very easy to slip to stay in it too long. You kind of have to come in and come out. So I think probably what I'm going to do is just read, over the next couple of weeks, read one of these stories a day, which I'm very excited about. So that's the plan for the next little while, and maybe I will see you again. Maybe I'll never see you ever. But thanks if you did watch this.